We're back at it with the battleship. Don't go away. Hello everybody and welcome to Fat Guy Productions. I am Paul, coming to you as always from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. And today we are back at work on the USS Arizona battleship model. And as you know, we've already done the unboxing, we've done the lower hull, and we've done most of the initial building on the major subassemblies. In today's video, we're going to do a lot of painting and detail work on those sub-assemblies so that we can start putting things together and start making this thing look like a battleship. So we have a lot to do and a short time to do it in. Let's get to work. So here's some of the smaller bits I built so long ago, and I really wanted to add some life to them, but this navy blue doesn't offer you a lot of opportunity for that. I tried a black pin wash using Tamiya black panel liner, and it was really just nothing. You just couldn't see any of the detail at all. So here I am. I'm using some powders, and I'm brushing it on to things like the barrels and some different parts just to give some highlights, and that worked a little bit better. I'm going to go over the barrels again later, but I went through all the guns and did this just to bring out a little detail and realism to these things. So they have molded in on these walls that support the forecastle deck. They have fire hoses. So I'm just going through with a little bit of tan paint and painting in the fire hoses. I don't want to do too much detail work here. You know, it's a battleship, and they're not going to have a bunch of standy out stuff. So I'm just going through, brush painting it up a little bit to make it look nice. So here I am, I'm going to start painting the two masts. And these masts are half navy blue and half a flat white. So I'm painting the masts flat white first, and then I'll let them set aside to dry. And this is going to prove to be a really big challenge with painting the navy blue, because you've got all this really delicate railing on here and all these tiny little parts. You can only hit this particular one. I can only hold it by that one leg, because the other two have little photo etch ladders glued to them, and I don't want to knock those off. And even this leg, just above my fingers, there's a bell. And so I don't have a lot of room to work. And so when I go to try to paint the lower half navy, it's going to be a real fight. So anyhow, in the meantime, I'm just going to get these things painted up white, and then we can let them dry. So now I can do a little bit of the navy painting, and I can go ahead and start on the island. And again, if I had it all over to do again, I would have painted all these a long time ago, put the window glass in, then assembled the stack, then put on all the details. So that's the route I should have gone, because it would have been so much easier to put the windows in. Either that or just don't put the windows in. I don't know what to tell you. I think it looks way better with the glass. I don't know why the kit didn't have a little glass piece to go in there, but anyhow, it is what it is. So I'm just working and getting all the tough to get to spots, trying to be very careful where I grab this thing so I don't pop off a searchlight or a railing or something. And I'm going to get this thing all navy blued out. So the masts are dry, and I've got the navy blue out already, so I'm going to go ahead and try and figure out how to paint these things. Now, there's a lot of fragile, fiddly bits on this, so this is a high-stress moment here. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of my very thin tape, and I've wrapped it around the platform that is right at the dividing line. And that's all I'm going to use. I will try to keep the overspray away by the control of the airbrush. I'm referring to the painting guide that's included in the kit to make sure I figure out properly where the masking line should be. Now, one actually masks off right at the edge of one of the platforms, so it's not the hardest one in the world. The other one, however, where it changes colors, it's a problem. So what I've decided to do here is I'm going to mask it off the best I can. And then I'm going to use, again, the airbrush's control and its ability to paint very fine detail. And I'm going to just airbrush as neatly as I can to the dividing lines, trying to keep paint off of places it doesn't belong. Then I'm going to have no choice but to go back and do a little bit of touch-up work with some flat white paint and a brush. I just have no other way to do this without breaking things and causing all sorts of mayhem. So if you have a better idea on how to get these dividing lines painted, I'd love to hear about it and see what you come up with. But, all I can do really is mask off what I can mask off and use the airbrush and its infinite control to try and keep paint away from places it doesn't belong. So again, picking different angles, keeping the flow of paint to the barest minimum, being careful of where I'm aiming my paint stream. I'm going to get the lower part of this stack painted up, and there is going to be overspray. There's just no way I could get around it. And it's really where these legs meet that bigger platform. There's going to be overspray there. I can't do anything about it except to have it happen and try and fix it after the fact. In the end, I was able to get the lower part painted, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah, there was overspray. Yeah, I still had to touch it up with a brush, but it's a flat paint, so it smoothed out very nicely and flowed out and looks great. And at the end of the day, nobody is going to be able to tell, and it just looks great. So I did have a little casualty in painting these masts. So I lost one of the clocks, taking the tape off, and I'm going to have to glue that back on. It's really a fragile little piece, and so I got to be super, super careful with it, but it should go back on. As we advance in the build, we're going to be using a lot more of the photo etch, and that's where you're really going to have a CA glue that you depend on. Also, make sure you have a good pair of tweezers, something that's going to grab those little photo etch parts and hold them tightly. Nothing is more frustrating than that little tick noise as you pop a piece out of your tweezers that shoots across the room to never be seen again. So just make sure you've got a really good CA and a really good pair of tweezers. Let me tell you, painting the masts is it's a nightmare, okay? It really is just a nightmare. And you're going to end up having to do some brush work, okay? So just understand that going in. You can mask things off gently. You can use little pieces of paper and hold them in place. And there's a lot of techniques you can use to try and get most of this painted properly. But really, you're going to end up having to do a little bit of brush painting. Just get used to the idea. Now, with any battleship build, one of the milestones is the big cannons, okay? When you hit those, you know you're doing good, and that's where we're at on our Arizona build. So I've got them all assembled. I've got the metal barrels on here, and they're going to be a lot of fun. And now we're just going to take them over to the paint booth and put some of that navy blue all over them. Now, don't ask me. I have no idea. I'm not a Navy guy, and maybe if you know, you can put it in the comments down below so everybody can understand this. For some reason, the tops of these big cannon turrets were painted red. I don't understand that for the life of me. Why not just put a big bullseye on this ship? I didn't get that, but they were red, and so that's what we're going to go with here. So you have to go through. Again, you got all this photo etch stuff you got to fight around, but we have to get everything masked off, and then we'll airbrush some red on the top of the cannons. Now we're back over at the paint booth to put the red down, and my tip here is your masking job may be above average, but no matter what, there's probably going to still be some issues there, so just really light with the airbrush, okay? Try and exercise as much control as possible. That'll put you in a position where you have to do the least amount of cleanup after this. So if you watch my die-cast builds or even some of my other model builds, I have said this numerous times. I remove the masking as quickly as possible, and what I've found is by taking it off as soon as I'm done cleaning my airbrush, that's about the right amount of time. If you take it off too late, the paint's too dried, too brittle, and you can get like a cracked, chipped edge. If you take it off too early, the paint can still be gummy and stringy, and as you're pulling it, it's kind of going with the tape, and it's just a real mess. This seems to be just about the magical number. The one thing you sure don't want to do is just leave it on too long, because the paint and the tape and the glue from the tape and the model and everything, they can react together and leave residue behind, and that's just a nightmare, okay? And you don't want to have to deal with that. So I'm using the Testors Clear window glue, and that's going to be a problem because Testors is going out of business, and we're going to have to find a good substitute for this stuff. But anyhow, I'm using the Testors Clear model glue to put in glass in all of the windows in the masts. And I really, really wish I had painted up these parts earlier before sealing them up, and I could have just used the bottle of glue and put it in from the inside. I didn't think I was going to do this. It was a last-minute decision, and so I'm having to take and get some on a toothpick and go through and put it on every window as carefully as I can. And it works out, and it's going to be great, and I highly recommend putting your windows in. Just do all of the windows before you close up these parts, okay? You'll thank me for that. Okay, so we have made just some giant headway on this kit. Most of the major sub-assemblies are together and painted and detailed. And I'm going to keep myself busy building all these little tiny lifeboats that you have to build. You've got to build all the stands for them and all the lifeboats, and that's a tedious process. So while we're gone and waiting for the next episode, I'm going to busy myself with that. And when we come back, we're really going to start to see this ship take shape. So that's going to be it for today. Well, there you have it. We have the masts painted up. We've got windows in them, and we've got photo etch stuff on things, and the big cannons. They're painted and got the weird bullseye red tops on them. Never will understand that, but we've got a lot done, okay? And as we leave you, yes, we are working on all the lifeboats. That should be a lot of fun. Not, but as it stands, we're really making great progress. So we're going to go ahead and cut it short for today, and then we'll be back here soon with episode 5 of the Arizona build. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, click subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any of this Arizona battleship build. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I love to hear from you guys. Okay, we got a lot done today, and we've got more to get to. I'm going to get out of here. Until next time, this is Paul from Fat Guy Productions saying, be good.